Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be going over my top 10 favorite fantasy characters from books that I've read. The first character that I want to go over is Cersei Lannister from A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. This is one of my favorite characters because of how complex she is. You learn to hate her, but you still sympathize with her in some ways. You don't see the incest that happens earlier in the book, so a lot of the disgust is away. It's a lot better than if we would have been a POV character from the very beginning. So I really enjoyed her intensity and the problems that she had with the male-dominated society. I found it very interesting. She's one of my favorite characters, and she has a very interesting ending, and I really would like to see where her story goes next, if it ever gets finished, which I know it won't, but love to see where she goes. Next character that I love is going to be Joshua Lackhand from A Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I really have only read the first two books from this series, but Joshua Lackhand is my favorite character from the books. He lacks a hand, but he is a prince of the King Prester John, who united all of Urchester, comes together, and his son needs to take over, but his younger son Joshua also is not really vying for the throne, but ends up having to vie for the throne because of the circumstances that occur in the start of the Dragonbone chair. I really enjoyed how humble he is. He is a down-to-earth character, even though he comes from a high upbringing. He's really an enjoyable guy and commands a lot of respect from the people that are around him, and I really enjoy that. The next character that I want to talk about is actually Burich from the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. It's one of my favorite characters. He's the dad that you've never had, but you always know you needed. He's got a no-nonsense approach to tough love, and I think everybody kind of needs that in their life. But deep down, you know that he cares. He's not going to say it just to say it. He's going to say it and mean it. He's one of those characters that are all about duty and honor. He's going to make sure that you're living up to those standards, whether you like it to or not. He's not a talker, but when he does speak, you listen. And he's just a great father figure, and he also is one of those characters that commands the respect of the people around him, and that's just a trait that I enjoy. My fourth character that I'd like to talk about is Lamura from The Lies of Lamura and the Gentleman Bastard sequence by Scott Lynch. This is a very quippy series with many intelligent characters, and Lamura is probably the most intelligent. He also is one of those characters that commands a lot of respect from the people around him, and he is a lover, first and foremost. So he loves to do his trickery, and he loves to go around and scam people, but at the end of the day, he is really all there for his family. Number 5. My fifth favorite character is going to be Mattcin from A Wheel of Time. He manages to try to save the world, even though he complains about it. He doesn't try to. And he's a gambler, a joker, and the last person that you'd expect to be a hero. But there he is. His whole thing is he's not a hero, but he'll do the job anyway. Destiny's always knocking. That's a big theme of Wheel of Time. And Mattcin kind of embodies that, so that's why I enjoy him the most. Character number 6 is going to be Sandan Glokta from the first Lost series from Joe Abercrombie. Glokta, from the very first beginning scene where he's trying to go up steps, you will love him. His internal dialogue, matched with his external dialogue, is some of the best I've ever read. He's brutally honest with himself and others. He just doesn't care anymore. Beneath all that bitterness, there's still a spark of the man and the ambition that he used to have. It's fun to see him kind of discover that ambition throughout the series, and he's one of my favorite. He's a chess master, and he has a mean streak, and I love him for that. Number 7 is actually going to be Sazed from the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. He's the calm in the storm, the scholar, the keeper of knowledge, and honestly probably the nicest guy on this list. But don't let that fool you. His journey is one of the most profound of the series. I really enjoyed his talk about religion and his interest in that. He's constantly searching for balance between faith and knowledge and purpose. He's not just a warrior, but he's got strength at the wazoo, but he still is a great mind. He's a historian, and I find those characters always very interesting. Number 8 on this list is going to be Dyer in Deadhouse Gates by Stephen Erickson, the Malazan Empire of the Fallen. Dyer, I don't know how to say his name. He's a historian, but don't let that fool you. He's seen more action than most soldiers. His idea is that he's a historian who follows Coltane in his Chain of Dogs, and the Chain of Dogs is one of the very best sequences in fantasy. You are missing out heavily if you have not read this book. What's great about Dyer is that he's not some hardened warrior, he's an observer. He's documenting the horrors of war, and somehow he keeps his humanity intact. He's unforgettable, and he's the guy that makes the story get told, even if it's ugly. Character number 9 on my list is actually going to be Darful Kadar from the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. This is an Arthurian trilogy retelling. He's your classic warrior, but with a twist. He also is a deeply reflective guy. He's always worrying about his love life, he's always worrying about how he will live in this new world. You get the sense that he's always thinking about the consequences of his actions, even when he's knee-deep in battle. And that's something that I kind of relate with. I really enjoy his deep moral compass, and it makes the story hit much harder. Finally, number 10 is going to be my 10th favorite character. It's going to be Shon Devar from the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson again. This character, he really is not very good from The Way of Kings, but in that series, she is my favorite character from the books. She is just an honest character who is always, well, kind of honest. But she's trying to do her best for her family, and I find that really relatable. I love that she is family-oriented, and she comes to love the people around her. She is also someone that has her own conflicts within herself, and that she's trying to not pose on others, and I find that very relatable as well. She's just a character that I enjoy, and I find extremely fun to read. So those are my top 10 favorite characters that I've read in fantasy so far. Please drop below your favorite characters from these books or from other series, and I appreciate you stopping in. Click like, subscribe, maybe the notification, and thank you for joining me.